Modern-day medicine is a marvel for both a healthy and prosperous future of humankind. Through different discoveries, we've created cures for infections, diseases, and even treatments for serious illnesses like cancer and AIDS. But with everything positive, also comes something negative. With the creation of drugs helping our society, we've also opened up a door for a new type of sickness, drug addiction. Now, one of the more vexing issues of modern medicine is, how do you manage chronic pain? Opium has been around for a very long time. Some have dated its first usage back to 3400 BC in southern Mesopotamia, where the consumption of the poppy plant was seen as a way to become happier. After opium, morphine, heroin, and other drugs started to surface through the use of the poppy plant. Painkillers then found their way into a more readily consumable pill form, thus creating what we know today as opioids.
7 Action News reporter Kim Russell joins us live with the stories of people here in Metro Detroit who have battled opioid addiction.
At the center of this crisis stands a name, a family, whose wealth and influence shaped the very course of the modern epidemic. The Sackler family, once celebrated philanthropists, are now infamous for their role in what is now known as the opioid crisis. Through their company, Purdue Pharma, they introduced oxycodone to the market in 1996. What followed was a devastating wave of addiction, death, and despair, as millions of Americans found themselves trapped in a cycle of dependency, first marketed to both them and their doctors as lifesavers. Those who fall into abuse patterns seem to hide and deal with it alone because of negative stigma. It doesn't matter if you're a nobody or even a celebrity, addiction will creep around every corner it can.
He's the man with the booming voice and has a cult-like following for the catchphrase, Scott Cochran is in constant motion. The high-energy strength coach is more than that. He's a motivational guru and psychologist.
I need you lower! Ah! Hit it! Here we go! Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it! You're a Bentley right now. I'm just gonna put spinners on that thing. Got that fire! Got that fire! Just snap, crackle, pop in that back. Bow, 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 bow! So in 2012, I was talking to the docs about my migraines, and my migraines were awful. I mean, literally a vice in my temples. It felt like it was cranking all the time. We figured, I guess, between the docs and I, we figured that it was from yelling, because I never really lost my voice from yelling, but I yelled all the time. And so it was a combination between yelling and stress that was causing these headaches. So of course the doc said to me, you just got to stop yelling, right? And so for me, like, that's impossible. But that was his answer, right? They had put me on blood thinners. They had put me on these beta blockers to try to calm it down. And it just never worked. So they just said, well, if you just stop yelling as much. I remember multiple doctors telling me I should just get a microphone, but I tried it once and all I did was yell louder because it made it louder, you know? None of that worked. And then all of a sudden it was, let's try Vicodin. And so I took the Vicodin and I was like, whoa, this is really good. I don't have a headache, I can coach. But then the next morning, I'd feel like I had a hangover. And so I asked them, I said, is there something that's long extended? And that's when they put me on oxycodone. It worked. It was like a miracle drug for me. And I didn't have my headaches, so I could just go. When they gave me the prescription, the doc said specifically, this is addictive. I'm never gonna write you too many. I'm not gonna write you a lot of these. These are very addictive. And of course, I mean, at this point, I'm in my early 30s and I've won 3 or 4 national championships as a head strength coach. I'm strength coach of the year. We're winning on the field. I'm one of the most mentally and physically tough people in the world in my mind, right? Because I'm coaching this all the time. There's no way I'm gonna get addicted. So I blew him off, and he kept kind of telling me, and I blew him off. I said, Doc, I'm not gonna have that issue. You just keep writing them for me, because this is the first thing that worked. The doc was writing me, I think it was 30, 10 milligrams a month. And so it was one a day. Of course, I was taking 2 because I was like, more is better than 1. And so I would go to him 20 days after I got the script saying, hey, I need a refill. And after doing that for 2 months, it was a hassle. It was always like, I'm not writing you another one. This is the last one, or you're doing too many. And so I had to go to an outside doc. So then I found basically a doc on the streets is what I would like to call it. A doc in the box is what people call it, right? And so I found a doc that would write me 90 to 120 30s a month. He even started like, man, maybe he thought he was gonna get in trouble, that people were gonna come ask him because he was writing so much for me, that I actually had to call a doc in Mississippi through a friend that I found, and they would fax over a script. And I had to use 2 different pharmacies. It was kind of like clockwork. Like if I ran out, I was feeling like death. I could barely work, but I mean, I had no choice. So you had to just thug it out. But figuring that out, now I start going to the street. Now I start finding out who are the bouncers in the bars, you know, who are the super fans of Alabama football that I could ask, hey, can you get me this? So now I got 2 docs writing me 240 pills a month, and then I got a couple of bouncers here and there that are bringing me 100 pills a month. Yeah, in the back of my mind, I knew this is a problem. My ego was so big that I'm like, I'll just put it down whenever I want to. Like, I'll be able to stop. Like, nobody knows that I have this problem. The high's been gone. The high disappeared by 2015. That's why I started snorting them. Because the high of it is gone. Now I'm in survival mode. Like, I have to take this or I'm gonna feel sick. And everything about this is so gross. But the purpose of talking about this is to let people know that it's okay. And to get my story out there, to let people know that, like, this is my battle, and I'm grateful for the battle. I'm grateful for the voice to talk about it. So COVID hits and puts us all home. And so I'm on a Zoom literally with the Atlanta Falcons. Before that Zoom, leading up to that Zoom, it was the 10th. So I had a script coming on the 16th. I'm low on drugs, so I need to go to a dealer I've never used before. So I make a phone call to my friend. And I even got warned about this. This is the craziest part that I've never told anybody, is I got warned by my friend that I don't know where this is coming from. I don't feel comfortable getting you these pills. Like, we're not gonna do it. And I told him, I'm like, bro, this is not optional. Like, if it's fentanyl or if it's something that could kill me, it's not your fault. Like, I need something because I am sick and I have to work while I'm at home. So get these for me. I'll pay you double to make it happen. I overdose. I don't know if the Zoom had ended. And thank God my wife found me. I was upstairs and she didn't hear me, which is odd because she knew I had meetings till 12 o'clock or on most days. and it was a Friday, so maybe it didn't last as long, but she knew something was off.
Good Friday of 2020, it was April. We were all home during COVID. Scott had already taken the job with Georgia. I was literally walking to the laundry room with a basket, and I just happened to like glance up the stairs, and I saw him like slumped over, like totally just slumped over in this chair. So I ran up there and I grabbed him. I kind of pulled him up. He was sweating, like he was like profusely like just dripping in sweat. He wasn't responding to me, so I called 911, and as I was talking to 911, I got him like roused up, and he stood up and he was okay. So from there we went to the doctor's office. I mean, to tell you the truth, I thought he'd had a stroke. I mean, that was my first inclination. I was like, he's had a stroke. I had no idea. Like when I walked into this doctor's office, and I tell you, I had no idea that they were gonna tell me that they thought he was abusing drugs, like no clue. So I would just say, like, from that first day of when I found out what it was, like I was scared, I was probably angry, I was everything, but I was trying to figure out how to get help. So I just think that having my own program that I work with on recovery, and I work on myself, because there's not anything that I can cure or control or fix on him. It doesn't mean that, you know, I don't have these like feelings of anxiety and, you know, will it ever happen? But it's more like I kind of try to live like he does. Like you just live in the day. You just take what you have today to deal with and handle it that way. So it's definitely been a growth process for myself. Like it's kind of the wildest ride you never thought you needed to be on.
This group asked me, hey, will you come speak? They used working out to help people get through recovery. I thought it was a really cool organization. They said, will you come be our speaker? I gave my story, and Jeff Breedlove was there. He told some of his story. He just happened to grab me and said, hey, you know, I've been wanting to meet you. Well, what are you thinking about doing? I said, I want to help others. It's it's a natural gift that God has given me, and I want to utilize it to help others. Instead of helping them play football or play a sport, I want to help them get through addiction and live strong. And he said, well, we're gonna do something pretty special soon. Do you want to be involved? And I said, yes, no question, I want to be involved. So we started AARA, it's American Addiction Recovery Association. So it's a nonprofit that we started, and it's really exciting because what I've found through my process and through my journey is that there is a whisper about addiction. And I think it's time to start screaming about recovery. And so our goal at AARA is to save lives and to eliminate stigma and eliminate the whisper of addiction.
So Jay's Place is a recovery community organization. I tell people it is recovery support services for those affected by substance use disorders. So it's not only affected for the individual that is affected by the disease of addiction, but it's also for the families. So this is our meeting room, and you know, as you can see, there's a coffee pot and chairs circled around. So here we have AA meetings and NA meetings and all recovery support meetings, so that anyone who is seeking recovery or supports the recovery lifestyle is welcome to attend. So Jay's Place is very proud to partner with American Addiction Recovery Association to be able to provide not only the space for them to meet with our former Governor Deal, but to be able to provide services and show them that, you know, we're the connective tissue. So they're advocating for us on a national level, and we are the partners that greatly are impacted by their advocacy and the work that they're doing at a state level.
How's it going? Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Governor.
Jeff.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Hey, Governor. Good to see you. John, good to see you, brother. Welcome.
I appreciate everybody coming for this meeting. look forward to discussing these issues with you. This is going to be the start of something that will be great for the state and the nation.
I'm Jeff Breedlove. I am the CEO of the American Addiction Recovery Association. So the American Addiction Recovery Association, we are at our heart an advocacy organization. We want to represent the voices of families and survivors of the addiction epidemic. This is important to us because the #1 cause of death in the United States today from Americans 18 to 45 is a combination of fentanyl poisoning and overdoses. And that's an average of 200 Americans every single day. This is the #1 domestic policy issue for the United States, from the White House to state capitals, to county commissioners and mayors and city councils, and by the way, to businesses, houses of worship, and schools across America. There's no more important domestic issue because there's no issue impacting families and communities across America than addiction. So we've got to do something to break the cycle of death. We'll advocate for legislation. We'll advocate for rules and regulations within agencies. We will advocate for funding from Congress, funding from state legislatures, and funding in local government budgets. So we do that by organizing ourselves. Of course, we'll have a strong social media presence, eliminatethewhisper.com and eliminatethewhisper.org. Either one takes you to our website. Of course, we're all over social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. And we will use virtual organizing and in-person organizing to show up where our government is and tell our government that funding for addiction has to match the science of the deaths and overdoses. Today in America, the business community will fund events for other medical issues. They'll fund a cancer walk. They'll fund a pride festival for the AIDS community. But we haven't earned the relationship with big businesses to fund Recovery Month events in September. A lot of businesses today, when an employee has an issue with addiction, they get fired immediately. Now that doesn't happen if they have cancer or Alzheimer's or AIDS. There's ways they support those employees. So we want to work with businesses to change their HR policies so that there's support for employees who enter into active addiction. The most dangerous part of addiction is stigma. And stigma is a polite word for hate and discrimination. So stigma kills. That's the bottom line. What we believe is this: for every voice of stigma that we hear, for every business unsure, for every faith leader who says it's not here, for every elected official who's afraid to stand with us today, we've got more willing to do that every day of the week. And that's why AARA is going to make a difference in America, because when Scott Cochran and Jeff Breedlove and our team organize ourselves in all 50 states, we'll have one of the most powerful voices to change the way America works politically, from a business perspective, and from a cultural perspective. And we will save lives, we will restore families, and we'll strengthen communities.
We have about 22 beds here and looking to build out 8 more in the basement.
But before we go, what's the average length of stay?
So length of stay wise is going to be typically between 14 days to 30 days. It's going to depend. We can detox only, or clients come for a full residential stay, which is going to be closer to that 30-day mark. 24/7 care. We've got a full medical and clinical team that are working with our clients here just for a safe recovery and a safe detox. So it's really awesome.
Looks beautiful. Let's go on a walkabout.
Yeah, come on. Come on. So come right in here. This is one of our small group rooms. This is Hannah,
Hey,
our
Hannah.
discharge planner.
I'm Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Can we sit with you for a second, Hannah?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if anything does come up as far as clients wanting to leave early, or AMA, a leave against medical advice, she's in there really trying to work with them and talk to them, and so that's very key. And so
I'm also in recovery.
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
So a little over 7 years.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey.
You know, I can kind of be like, I know where you're at. I've been exactly where you're at.
I always say that every voice is important, and I mean that. But it sounds like what we say at the Georgia Council for Recovery often, and certainly at the American Addiction Recovery Association, that the opposite of addiction is really connection. And you do need other people to help you. But once you get to that place, once I got to that place, it became a whole lot easier to actually start to recover.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And painful for some of it.
Yeah, especially fentanyl, especially alcohol. Alcohol is the most dangerous detox.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's just because, you know, it attacks your organs. It's
The
you
liver,
know,
right, in
yeah,
particular?
Yeah.
It's one thing for me to heal,
Yeah.
but if my wife isn't healing and my son isn't healing,
Yeah. It's a family
then it's
addiction.
still a mess.
Yeah.
So it's a family addiction.
It is, for
And
sure.
when we all heal, it's a much happier house.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, listen, look, good landing, great reputation around Georgia, and I was so glad to finally get a chance to come
Great to
see
have you out
what you
here.
do at your house.
This is where it's at, you know, and it's such a pleasure, you know, what it might be. We're really trying to meet people where they're at.
Cool.
to
Well, that's what it
help.
takes. Meet people where they are, create an environment. Maybe this is their cup of tea, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But you can help them find a place if this is not. But
Definitely.
you know, look, the word on the street, and it was important for me when I was sitting next to you the other day, and I was like, I'm going to be in Gainesville. I want to go by, because y'all do such good work at Good Landing.
you.
So thanks for what you do.
Yeah.
In the United States today, there are 46 million Americans in active addiction. There are 29 million Americans in recovery. We're going to organize those Americans. And think about the multiplier of just 2 for family members to that number. You're talking about basically 200 million plus Americans directly impacted by our disease. And we're going to stand up to those people that call us names, that try to place labels on us, and we're going to say no more deaths, no more families going bankrupt trying to find help for their loved one. We deserve funding just like cancer deserves funding, just like AIDS, just like Alzheimer's, just like any other medical issue.
The reason why I'm so excited about it is because I've looked around and I've seen a lot of recovery places, a lot of organizations pushing things and doing certain things, but no one really is gonna stand on a table and yell and scream for people in recovery and for people in active addiction. So we're trying to go a step above in front of them and go to the lawmakers and go to the faith leaders and go to the people out there to let them know, like, hey, this is what it looks like. You don't have to fire people. This is what recovery looks like. And this is the type of people you can hire.